U.S. plans to give Ukraine advanced long-range missiles to help with its ongoing counter-offensive against Russia. That's according to reports in the American media. They quote U.S. officials familiar with the issue saying Ukraine will get some long-range missiles similar to the ones we're seeing here with a range of up to 190 miles. Now, that would allow Kiev to hit Russian targets deep behind the front line. Neither the U.S. or Ukraine have officially confirmed those media reports. Now, this comes as the Ukrainian military claims it struck the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea naval fleet in occupied Crimea with Storm Shadow cruise missiles supplied by Britain and France. The building inside two missiles causing extensive damage. Black smoke was still rising from Sevastopol hours after the attack. Russia's Ministry of Defense said one serviceman was missing. Meanwhile, President Zelensky's just wrapped up a week-long visit to the U.S. and Canada where he appealed to lawmakers for further support in the ongoing conflict. On Friday calendars, Justin Trudeau pledged nearly $500 million in aid to Ukraine that includes 50 armored vehicles as well as training for F-60 F-16 pilots and engineers to be delivered over a 3-year period. All that's in addition to a $325 million package from the U.S. announced during President Zelensky's visit to Washington, D.C. on Friday. Russia Democracy Initiative. We began by discussing the long-range missiles the U.S. is reportedly supplying to Kiev. Well, this is something Ukraine has been waiting for since probably the beginning of this war, or at least the beginning of Russia's offensive in the east. Tangled missiles would be a significant addition to Ukraine's ISIS, on which Ukraine, as you know, is already showing some success with its domestic the locally produced the New South, which was just demonstrated Crimea, but there's nothing like the attacker's missile, and what's more important is that it could open the door to German-made Towers missiles, which are probably even better for what Ukraine needs on. A Russian infrastructure Douglas military hub resupply lines in Crimea in the south the Azov Sea to severely disrupt those supply lines, and already Ukraine has shown tremendous success in essentially neutralizing the Russian Black Sea fleet, which is sitting there and preventing Ukraine's grain exports from happening. Well, let's talk about these claims from the Ukrainian military that they have struck the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea naval fleet. What do you make of that? This was a tremendous demonstration of Ukraine's ability. Contrary to what some Western experts are saying, they're telling Ukraine not to get distracted with Crimea, to concentrate on the counter-offensive elsewhere. I think Ukraine's strategy is paying off. The Institute for the Study of War just came out on Thursday with a report, and it says that, I'm quoting, elements of the Black Sea Fleet's 110th Naval Infantry Brigade are engaged in critical defense operations in Western and the Black's at least 22nd Army Corps defending positions in the east bank of her service, which is to say that obviously all these operations are very much tied together. So this is that's been part of Ukraine's broader effort to go after a Russian logistics fuel maintenance centers, and essentially once again to disrupt their supply lines that in short order they took up. Took out a very costly S-400 missile defense complex, and for the first time since World War II, they destroyed a Russian submarine. Okay, Peter, very briefly, though, there has been widespread consensus that the counter-offensive hasn't really gone as quickly as perhaps Ukraine had hoped. It hasn't been on track. So what would you make of these latest developments? When we look at the course of that counter-offensive, I think they were very much agent this offensive, and once again I think we have to move from this opposition that Ukraine has a few more weeks to go, and that will have to put this current offensive on hold. In real estate has in fair Tabalda has in their neck.